All right, folks, we are live on the live stream with a very special guest. We have Brad from Full Spectrum Survival. A lot of you I see already in the chat room ready to go for this one. The last time we talked was probably a month or two ago, and we had a really great time, and I felt like we were just scratching the surface of topics. And most of the people probably watching right now are very familiar with you. It seemed like it was one of the more popular live streams. I think we're about to hit 100,000 K on that particular one. So for a live stream, that's good. So it seems like people want to be able to talk with you live in person in the chat room about all things preparedness and current events and your thoughts on things in real time. So that's why I wanted to bring you back for a second one so we could really deep dive into things specifically with you. Also, for those of you watching, you probably are familiar with us doing the Think Preparedness with our cohorts, Canadian Prepper and City Prepping, where we have a lot of fun deep diving into things. But this one's going to be just Brad and I, which will be fun. So how things going?
Good, man. I appreciate you having me here, and I appreciate everybody taking their time out of their day to sit here in the live chat with us and have a good talk with us. We're going to be doing a lot of Q&A today. What helps me and what helps Kelley, she's sitting over here to the side, if you're able to leave your questions in caps. I know that Cliff here is really great at throwing some questions towards the front, but it helps me kind of keep my eye open if you want to ask something or just have a really good line of communication. So it's just so much that's going on right now. And after you left the Think Preparedness channel last time, Cliff, we sat around and talked with Chris and Nate for a little bit, and it really affected me how changed Chris was and his ideas about the direction that the world was going, where it was affecting his channel, where he was saying, okay, I'm going to focus on these things because he felt that the economy was really going to be where it takes the hit over the course of the next couple of months or couple of years. And I definitely see that. It just, we have friends and family who are really getting hit hard, some more than others. And then you have those couple of lottery winners, the people who are maybe in the nursing industry and they've done travel nursing or have one industry specific job or another that they've really excelled at. So I think that we just have to watch what's happening over the course of the next couple of months and do the best that we can to definitely keep our own pantries full and our stocks as prepared as we can.
Yeah, I love having our after hours for the Think Preparedness channel. But before we go live and after we go live, a lot of the juicy topics go there. And I think I missed the end there because I had to go do some family things at the time. But
yeah, that's okay. Hey, thank you for the super chat, John Doe. If anybody leaves a super chat and wants to really be thrown right up there, 100% goes right to Cliff. So just please, throw it in there. If it's $1, $5, everything helps. For me and Kelley, it's our full-time job is preparedness in the channel, and our friend Cliff here, he does a lot of other stuff for his work, and this is something that is really a passion for his to keep everybody prepared and to help them do everything. So anything you have to help, that's helpful for all of us.
Yeah, maybe someday I could go full time on things, but right now I have to work for the man a little bit.
That's right. Yeah,
this goes with the territory. But I also kind of feel, I think we talked about this offline, where I feel like as the urban prepper that I need to be out there in the city and doing things with the people, and part of that I guess is having the day job and doing the daily grind. But yeah, it's always great talking with you and getting. I think we have different perspectives on things. Oh, I think we got an Apex Prepper there. Apex, I'll probably give you the link to the live stream to help out with some crowd control. So
David Hicks asks, what's a good site to get small packages of first aid medicines? Amazon, Walmart aren't that great. You might have a good suggestion there, Cliff, but from what I can tell, anything that's pre-packaged is always going to be, they're going to take their corners. They're going to cut corners. And so you're going to get a whole bunch of really cheap aspirin, but not so much of the more expensive, better products inside of there. So I think building your own is a really good idea. If you go on like people who go to through hikes and, they do long distance hiking, those people have really good ideas on what to make in your first aid kit. Did you have any ideas there, Cliff?
Yeah, I think it's good to make first aid kits a la carte. I typically don't buy the ones like at REI or the prepackaged ones, because a lot of the times it's mostly gauze and stuff, which is pretty inexpensive to make. It adds a lot of bulk to it, and so I like going with more of the modern wound dressings that you would actually see at the hospitals, like Tegaderm and some of the other things, Sterastrips and those kind of things. And so I go with more of a thin first aid approach for a lot of my kits now. But yeah, I agree, going to medical sites and doing it a la carte. The problem is that it gets expensive after, buying those kind of things gets fairly expensive. So you have to kind of build first aid kits in bulk. I think it'd be great if there was like some kind of first aid co-op or something like that, where a pool of people could kind of gather their resources together and build a bunch of first aid kits.
I see the super chats lining up, so don't worry if you asked a question in super chat. We're definitely going to get to it, and we're going to actually try to get to all of the questions. I think that we have to handle first aid a little bit more. The one thing that every first aid kit on the market is missing is the numbing agents. If you have something that goes wrong, if you have that big cut or you have, you need to do something, missing those numbing agents is really huge. So I think and without a connection or maybe a veterinarian connection, and that's where really having some small livestock like chickens or goats, it gives you a chance to get in touch with a local vet and say, hey, can I have a bottle of that Novocaine, or can I have some of this? And they'll actually teach you how to give it to goats. And honestly, giving it to a goat and giving it to me is really no different. So there's so many things that we can do there. Now, I know that we talked a little bit. I don't remember if you were there, Cliff, when we were talking about Jace Medical and how that was really a world changer in preparedness. I don't get any money from pitching. I don't get any commission from Jace Medical, but for me, it moves us away from fish antibiotics like fish mocks and into real prescriptions. So that's another idea for your first aid kit, making sure that you have your azithromycin, your ciproflexin, all of those things. And, it's not cheap. It's about $250. But if you were to do telehealth for each one of those options, you're going to be at like $450 for the telehealth. So.
Yeah, what's your thought on because I know in the preparedness community, fish antibiotics are kind of popular, and I've heard two different approaches. Oh, yeah, it's the same thing. And then I've talked to others where, yeah, when you buy cat food, it's made of chicken, but what would you eat cat food? Like it might be a different grade of it. So I was curious on your thoughts on that. I like going with the human stuff if I can get it. So.
Yeah, I always think about it for my children. I did a lot of urban exploration, skateboarding, bike, BMXing when I was younger, when I was, in my teens and 20s. And so, you get hurt on the side of the road, you wash it out, you put some super glue on. Okay, that's great. But I took that responsibility into my own hands. Now, if it's my child that's sick with something or has a problem, I'm going to be a little bit more proficient in, wound cleaning and antiseptic. And so I try to think about that. Would I rather give my kid fish mocks, or would I rather give them amoxicillin from a real pharmacy? So I definitely think that it has a place, things like fish mocks and the other antibiotics. But for me, if I have the chance to stock up on an emergency toolkit of real prescription antibiotics, then that's what I'm going to do. I want to hit. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I find myself when I have any kind of injury where I get to have a prescription of some kind of painkiller, I find that I try to write out a little bit of the pain so I could have some of the remaining stuff of a real prescription for my actual stash.
Which, of course, we don't recommend anyone to do because that might.
We don't give medical advice here. I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah, we don't give medical advice.
Thank you so much, John Doe, for hitting that super chat for the Urban Prepper community here. Hey from Long Island was Tamika Major. We've got a couple more here. What's a good site? They were talking about the Medicine Law of the Minimum says, what's the plant that I recommended to be able to feed quail if there is no feed to buy? That's kudzu. Kudzu is a massively invasive plant here across the United States of America. It's actually originated in Thailand and other parts of Asia. It's human edible. We can all eat kudzu. If you're allergic to legumes, you might want to watch for some sensitivity there, but its protein level is the highest among almost any plants around. You almost can't kill it. It does die back a little bit in the winter, but it comes right back. It's actually so invasive that it's illegal to transport across state lines, and it's actually illegal to plant anywhere except on your property that you own for yourself. Farmers hate it because it takes away what they're trying to feed their animals, but cows, cattle, goats, sheep, chickens, everything else loves it. So it's definitely something that you should look at for having as an emergency protein source, not just for your animals, but for you also.
Yes, I got a little image over there. So this is kudzu. I don't know if I'm familiar with it over locally, but now I'm gonna have to kind of take an eye out for it. But.
Oh, you're gonna see it. You'll see it wrapped. It's the stuff that gets wrapped up on telephone poles. You'll see it on the hillside.
Then I know it well because I have to take that stuff down from my telephone pole. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and it has little sticky creepers that creep around everywhere. If you go watch people in Nepal and you go watch people in Thailand, they're eating this stuff literally every single day. They don't just eat it raw. What they do is the vine itself has a layer that you peel off the outside. It's almost like a silk skin layer. You peel off the outside, you chop it up, you put it in, and you cook it like spinach. And they eat it every single day. So it's definitely something that would go good in everybody's preparedness, toolbox.
Awesome. The last time that we talked, I remember you were talking a little bit about what to feed the animals, and we were talking about some of the growing of the rats and how much it takes to feed the rat to feed the animals. And so I always like those kind of preparedness tips on unique ways of unique prepping tips that you could use that some people don't think about. So
yeah, right. I want to make sure we hit some of the non super chat. So guys, if we miss one of yours, please just copy what you put in there and paste it and put it into a new one if we get past it.
Yeah, feel free to pick which one, and I'll try to grab the ones for me. So
okay, yeah. Dr. D right above Stephen Adams says, "What's the likelihood of an EMP event occurring in the near future?" Scientists say that just a natural EMP event is very likely, that we're going to experience an EMP, and we're pretty much counting down the days. Now, remember, their timeline is really long. Our timeline here on Earth is just very small from an individual perspective. Their timeline is long, but they think that naturally we're going to experience an EMP within our lifetime or a couple of lifetimes. That's going to be kind of Earth changing. Remember, it's real easy for us to not remember that our technology is very, on that longer timeline, very recent. I mean, look, 100 years ago, look at how different the world was. 300 years ago, the world was a completely different place. We're so reliant on technology now that 600, 800 years ago, you could have had EMP events and nobody even noticed. But right now, it would change our world. So as far as state actors or politically driven or war-driven EMP events, I think that that's also a possibility. But for me, it's more, I think that they'll use sabotage quicker than that, more often. So I'm more prepared for that. Doesn't stop me from keeping essential electronics in an EMP shielded area, a cargo container, and offering some air gaps and buffers there is a great way to do that. A tin shed, those tin garbage pails that you keep your dog food in, those all are great ways to get started with it. So it's just something that we work towards here. Steve Adams, thanks so much. Jason Blanchett, thanks, Cliff. Yeah, I appreciate it. I also thank Cliff for everything that he does for our community. Peter K, haven't seen you since our live shows here on Alive, so thank you very much for coming by. He says, for the cause. Peter K is a great guy, always a friend of the community.
I had a quick question for you on the EMPs really quick.
Sure.
You said you have various EMP shields. What are your thoughts on some of I happen to have one nearby on some of these kind of EMP devices? Is it snake oil to you, or is it you just kind of prefer more of the Faraday cage approach for some of these things?
Yeah, for me, Faraday cage is just, I believe that there is good science behind that technology. But, for me, it is just the surety that I know what a microwave does. I know that microwave keeps us as humans from being, we're shielded from the microwaves inside. So I understand that cage aspect, and that's just one that I choose to follow.
Yeah. Cool.
What about you?
I have it installed on a few different cars, and it's hard to really test I like testing things. Like you could test flashlights, you could test food and batteries and all those things. Kind of hard to test an EMP. So, but it doesn't really hurt my vehicle having it on there, and I have.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and of course, I can't put a car inside of a cargo container. I'm not just keeping an extra buggy inside of one, a VW Bug. So every little bit that can help.
Yeah, I know that there are some companies that sell more of like the Faraday bags that you can actually fit large enough to fit a car in, but they're kind of on the pricey side, I think. So
yeah. Joseph says, how long will the EMP last, and will it erase everything on your cell phone? Well, politicians could only hope that it would erase everything on their cell phones. How long will it last? Well, it would be near instantaneous, but
nanoseconds.
Yeah, the effects is what would last. We would, if you think the supply chain that we're experiencing a disruption in right now is life-changing, I think it's life-changing. We went from a time where you could go to the grocery store and pretty much get anything that you wanted in the store to a time where people are making their dinner choices on what's available that day, which harkens more towards second world, third world countries and what's available in those grocery stores. So that will pale in comparison to an EMP event, which it'll start us back a couple hundred years ago, and it's going to take at best, from some of the calculations that I've read, you're looking at a 50-year return to normal. So definitely a long timeline.
And from what I've heard, a lot of from the EMPs, that it would affect some of the larger electronic equipment more than like your cell phone. The cell phone might go out for a little bit, but come back on. But it's more of a concern with the larger electronic equipment. So
Johnny,
I don't know. Yeah.
Johnny Gonzalez asked a good question there. He says, do I think that the technology-driven EMP event would be more likely domestic or foreign. I know that both domestic and foreign governments have a drive to. It's part of their theater of war, toolbox of their own. So whether it will drive it here, that's hard to say. I think that there's certainly a possibility. I mean, the data is there. We've seen the CIA docs. We've seen all of the open and unscripted verbiage, allowances from our government that has said, hey, we'll just go to Cuba and, disrupt them through a false flag event, though they didn't call it. They called it like a purposeful, chaotic event or something like that. And then they'll do it to other countries. So it's definitely, driving political turmoil and social chaos through purposeful acts is a possibility. It's not one that I would ever put over, our government or another. EDC TV, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, good to see you.
Nelson Nicholson. Nelson, we were just actually talking about, Nelson says Canada Prepper blocked me from his site.
I saw that. He blocked me too.
Yeah, he blocked all of us. Excuse me, you're going to make me choke. But we were just talking before this show started that, Cliff really enjoys a real freedom of speech allowance here. So we're glad to have you here with us.
Yeah, I try to, I like freedom of speech in my everyday life. And I feel that if I shy away from that on my channel, then I'm being a hypocrite. So I try to, for the most part, as long as you're not dropping, racial slurs or something like that, it's extremely offensive, it's fair game. Even if you want to say bad things about me, it trust me, it won't hurt my feelings. So
yeah, personal trolling. We're all good for personal trolling. Throw it at us. We can take
only my wife could hurt my feelings through, but everyone
That's
else,
right.
Even Brad, if you get mad at me, you can let me know. You won't get blocked. So.
Comic Child says advice on when to unpack Faraday cages if there's many CMEs. In my protocol for a CME or some sort of EMP event will be to take the items out, use them, and put them back away on a schedule. And so you'll set up a communication schedule with other, I don't want to say survivors because an EMP will allow many survivors, but other groups or family members or group members. And so you'll say, okay, this time every day, or if you don't have access to clocks, you'll say, sun up, sun down every day. You'll take the items out of the cages, use them for communication or whatever else, and then put them back in. That's my protocol. It doesn't work for everything. Imagine having, still got me from that choke. Imagine having an oxygen machine. You keep one, you bought a cheap Chinese knockoff oxygen generator. We have them here. We had our oxygen generators as soon as we saw that there was a pneumonia influenza going around or a pneumonia coronavirus. And so imagine you have a secondary one. You have a family member who needs oxygen. So the EMP happens, the CME happens. You say, okay, I'm going to take it out. It happens again because it's a CME, that was driven by more than one solar event, knocks it out, and now you're without anything. That's a really tougher consideration. I would definitely, in thinking about that, I'll probably make a little bit of change to my own protocol. And that's for those things that need to stay on, that those could be shielded of their, of their own volition or of their, in their own capacity. Like you can get some small oxygen generators, maybe put those in a microwave, like we talked about, and, have some allowance there.
I thought that was a really great question. There are some products out there where you could actually, I forget how you make oxygen, but you could actually make it and it doesn't really require electricity or anything like that, where it's a chemical reaction to make it, but it's only short term as well. I think it's a great question because as far as staging of your Faraday cages and what the cadence is for that, I thought that's a great one. So Comic Child, thank you.
Hey, Booze Corner, tweaking or twerking? No, I'm not doing either, but I appreciate you being here with us. Maybe on an OnlyFans, I'll do the twerking. So we'll just have to
what's your OnlyFans site? I don't have that one in the description box.
Well, it's not on my socials. Yeah.
Okay. I saw another one here from this is talking about testing cannot test water before and after Berkey filter, but I can test it before and after reverse osmosis. Then.
Yeah, that's do you mean at-home testing? I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I've done some. I mean, I do a lot of water testing, and my wife does as well, especially for gardening and stuff, and for fish tanks. And there's different places that you could go to locally to test your water for various things. So, not exactly sure on that one, actually. Yeah, the
So
chats are going fast, so I'm trying to find them as we're talking. So yeah, thanks for listening off the names, and the capitalization definitely helps.
that's
So.
right. Yeah. Twerping. Yeah. Okay. I'll take that. Hey, Raven Sky. Yeah. So Berkey, I have used Berkey for the last 8+ years. I've used the Berkey Blacks. Before I even gave it my heart, we lived in a real deep, deep part of the Florida swampland, and our well had so much sulfur and so much gunk that as soon as we pumped it up, even the holding tank, because it had so much sulfur, we had to actually aerate it. So you would pump it up, it would aerate, get rid of some of the sulfur, and then it was safer to drink. There was just algae everywhere. And I said, okay, well, I've got to have options here because I wasn't okay with drinking that nastiness. And so we looked up Berkey. We got one delivered. This was a long, long time ago, right when we first started homesteading. How long would you say? Had to have been 13 years ago, something like that, 14, 12 or 13 years ago. So that's when I first got a Berkey. And you would see the algae growing on the Berkey Blacks, the filter elements. And then the water below would be crystal clear, no problem. And so I knew that it was at least taking out those sediments and other materials, the biologics that I needed to get rid of. And then I, of course, did a little bit more research as my interest in them grew. And I was able to find that, the testing on them is pretty sound. There's some tests that, they say they'll take out cesium. There's tests that show that they'll take out different heavy metals. They're just, to me, a great option. I think reverse osmosis is great as well, but remember, you've got to have pressure for that. If you don't have water pressure, you're kind of stuck. So a Berkey is, if nothing else, a good backup to see it. Hey, JB, I appreciate you being here. How often do you replace those filters? Yeah. It depends on your use. Back in Florida, where we lived at our first homestead, the algae was just so overgrowing that you just had to take them off, scrub them. And we didn't start replacing the blacks because we lived very poor then. You didn't start replacing the blacks until the flow was just so inconsistent, and it really dropped the flow to filtration. I would say we probably replaced them every year, 2 years, and now every 3 or 4 years if it gets that way.
Cool. I saw a cool question here with regard to, because you have your production crew off camera here. So someone had
my wife there.
Yeah. So my wife Lisa would like to know if your wives were on board when you started prepping.
Okay. For me, Cliff, I'd like to hear yours first.
Yeah. Not at all. She thought I lost my mind because I was sneaking around dry food in the back of the car, and I had so many pounds of rice and beans and lentils and stuff in the trunk, and we were going through a grocery store parking lot where there was a lot of speed bumps, and she's like, why there's no shocks on the vehicle, because it was so weighted down by this. And then she thought I just lost it, and it was right before we were getting married, so it was we were still technically just engaged at that point, so maybe she had second thoughts. But over time, I think you kind of won her over, and I think with everyone, once an emergency happens and you actually are ready for it, or if you have the right tool at the right time for the right job, that starts winning its way. And there's certain aspects to preparedness, I think, that my wife gravitates more towards, like I think she's really enjoyed like the pressure canning, canned food, the pantry stuff, not as into the bug out bags and other things or power banks and things like that. But there's things that that pique her interest more. And it took time initially. She thought I lost my mind at the beginning.
For me and Kelley, we're together now for 17 years plus. And so it was really when we started thinking about, we had our child very young into our relationship, our first child. And so with that first child, we were like, okay, we've got to remain as independent as we can and as prepared as we can. Because like I said, we were used to living very frugally. We had very meager amount of income. We were pretty young. And so it was very important to us to try to make every dollar stretch, make our meals stretch, do all those things. And so we, I guess, jumped into it in that regard, together. I don't think there was a time, if anything else, I would say that we counterbalance each other. So if I'm like, yeah, I think we really should get, 7 boxes of stewed tomatoes instead of just 3. And she's like, well, we already have this many. And so we kind of counterbalance each other and make sure that our preparedness doesn't go too far to the extreme or not enough to make it through.
Is Kelley on all the live streams and all of the videos backstage usually on these kind of things?
No, she tries to be, but Yeah, I always let everyone know that I've got an assistant over there.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome that how involved, and I'm looking forward to more videos on the Brad and Kelley the special channel for that one. So I always enjoyed those. So that's cool that that she's so involved. So yeah. So thank you backstage. We know that you're there. You're kind of like Wilson from Home Improvement, where we know that you're kind of there, but we don't get to see. There we go.
You put that behind me.
Put it behind.
Yeah. Thumbs up. There we go. That's awesome. And we got Bernie now backstage. He's controlling the comment.
Okay.
Comment section.
Okay, great.
So, again,
so remember,
I rarely ban people. So I think I banned like 5 people in the 11 years that I've had a YouTube channel. So it's very rare, but
for me, I only really bring the ban hammer when somebody is hurting another person.
Yeah.
So if somebody is really hurting someone, just mentally abusing them for no reason, first I'll try to step in and say, hey, that's not really the right way to act. We try to do this together. And then if they continue doing that, I don't think that anyone deserves to have, their feelings hurt. Well, I can moderate it if I can.
Yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find out another one in all caps. They're going by really quick, so it's hard to keep track of all of them. And
I've got a good one here that just popped up here. This is a maniac maybe from Maine. How would a person know if they have enough of different things, or is it ever enough? I just asked this question on yesterday's video, because I said, well, my idea of enough is completely different than other people's. And we're down here in Florida helping family members out. And so with our consideration, it's not just like, hey, just bring a night's worth of clothes and go. Like I said, I overthink as far as preparedness. I'm like, okay, do I have enough of this to get back if I, because we're a couple of hours away, a couple of long hours. So do I have enough of this to get back? Well, what if there's social chaos? Do I have enough of this for, crowd control? Or do I have enough of this if there's larger events? So there's that line of, do you decide to, take your bulletproof vest with you? And I'll leave that up to my own, you can decide on your own whether I took my vest with me or not, or whether you say, okay, well, I'm just going to leave that at my homestead. For me, I overthink things, that's why I don't really enjoy trips very much, because even for a couple hours, you're taking everything with you. As far as your home, your apartment, your homestead, whatever it might be, I think that it just has to be that line where, as long as you can make it feel good, and as long as you can make it look good, and as long as it doesn't hurt you financially or emotionally, you just keep going at it. Kelley, when we had our second child, she was cotton diaper crazy. There was cotton diapers. Oh, look at this pattern and this pattern. She was doing these giveaways for cotton diapers and just doing all this, just madness. And she was like, am I doing it too much? I'm like, whatever. It's you. If you want to do that, if you enjoy doing that, you can get whatever patterns you want them to pee and poop in. I'm totally cool with it. And so I think that that's really my consideration for my own preparedness, is if it doesn't hurt somebody and it doesn't affect you poorly, then you just go at it. Do as much as you can up until that point.
Yeah, I think as preppers, I don't think we're ever content or satisfied with where we're at. I think we all feel vulnerable in different areas of it. So I constantly feel like, I'm not prepared here, I'm not prepared there. And what I just try to do for myself is provide a little bit more peace of mind than what I had previously for the various areas, whether it's comms or security or food and water. Food and water is like just the ongoing one that when things get low in stock, it makes me nervous. But
yeah, right. Artsy Lady says, all caps, okay, can the homemade Berkeys be done with stainless steel boiler pots? If you mean, can you use just pots to put the Berkey blacks in? Yes, but you're going to have a hard time drilling through stainless steel, if that's what you meant, to get that good seal. You can do it with 5-gallon HDPE too, which that makes them food safe, the HDPE buckets.
Yep.
You just turn them upside down and you'll find plenty of plans. And even Berkey, the guy who we got ours from, the guy who continues to support our community, he says that's cool. If people want to do that, he said, if you're going to do that and you want the Berkey blacks, just go to him.
Yeah, for my Berkey, I don't use it as my EDC water filter. I have something else for EDC, and it's a prepared. It's like a key preparedness item for me that's ready to go for emergency purposes. But that's what we do purposely, and they're kind of pricey too. But I also have one in external storage location. So just in case
Yeah,
the
right.
house were to burn down or something. But and like you mentioned, I tend to overthink things too. So it's nice to have someone else to keep you grounded. Like
That's
over
right.
here.
Yeah.
So
Ragnarok Survival, thanks so much for the super chat for the Urban
thank you.
Prepper. It says, financial question, what to do with the money in the bank right now? Thanks to both of you from preppers down in Australia. Well, we appreciate you.
Awesome.
From across the water there. I know that Australia is having its own bit of political turmoil, and I hope that things don't go the way of the USA in your environment. Finances is really tricky. For me right now, I'm trying not to keep very much money in the bank, and I'm investing whatever I can, again, that doesn't hurt you and doesn't hurt you physically, financially, or mentally. I'm trying to invest that much into real things that I know are going to either save me money against inflation or give me good sound security or peace of mind. And that can go from something as small as canned food. I mean, if you bought canned food 12 months ago and you bought it now, you're saving money on inflation. It could go from ammunition, that's getting harder to come by. Pretty much any product that you buy is costing more today than it did just 6 or 8 months ago. And their expectation is that you're going to have an increase in inflation yet again. We're going to see another over the course of the next couple of months. So if you are fortunate enough to have a lot of money in the bank, first, I congratulate you on that fortune. And secondly, I would say if you have the ability to make some moves, like buy your own small piece of property, just an acre or something like that, then it might be something you want to consider.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I think over the past few years, I've had even more concern with the inflation. I try to diversify things as much as I can. I get like I was just looking on my desk every couple weeks or so. I get more silver coins that are sent, and I try to put more towards Bitcoin. And as you mentioned, it seems like I wonder how much more the canned food that I have in my pantry is worth now that compared to when I first bought it. I think food is an awesome, like non-perishable food is an awesome investment because you can actually eat it. I can't eat a silver maple leaf or anything like that. So
yeah, but what you could do is you could make it, you could make it safe. You can make water safe to drink with it.
Medical purposes,
make
maybe
it last longer. Yeah, you can make some silver colloids out of it. You can do all of those different things. RWR.
Yeah, so maybe you picked out the same one. Is this one you're looking at? So,
what are you both doing to secure your properties?
Yeah, I like that one.
Okay, great. Yeah, so we're away from our homestead right now as we're helping and visiting with family, and so we have one of our group members staying at our studio there, and he's taking care of everything. Keeping a watch everything. We also have security up that we can keep our own visuals on the property. So we have alerts set up that'll send us alerts to our phones. We have canary alerts. So if you lose connection to the internet or you lose connection to power, we get a canary alert that says, hey, you've lost connection. And he has all of the tools that he needs to make sure everything's safe there. As far as where we're at here, I would show you, but I don't want to get this video banned or demonetized. But like I said, we made sure to bring with our enough security tools and resupply for those tools that we thought was necessary to get back if we needed to.
Yeah, I think for home security, I think it's good to operate in series of layers. I did a video of it. I think Canadian Prepper also did as far as like your perimeter for your homes and having different layers of that as far as motion sensors at the farthest external and having the security cameras that get alerts to your phone and having the home alarm system. And one of the things I've done recently, I think we've talked about it before, is on all the external doors, I've been Velcroing basically pepper spray on each one of them. So if there was a home intruder or something, if I didn't have another way of defending ourselves, that would be quickly accessible there. And then also with just the other home security type of items that you could have for,
you'll have people, even on what you're saying right now, there will be one guy who's a real Rambo or girl, because we have to be inclusive now. So there'll be one guy or girl Rambo who will say, that pepper spray is not going to do anything. I've seen this guy, some 350-pound guy just walk through it like you're spraying him with milk.
Yep.
And sure, there's always those one in particular people. But let me tell you, I just read a story from a commenter just within the last 48 hours that told me they were assaulted at the grocery store. They ran around their car from the person until they could get their pepper spray. They sprayed them to keep them away until other nearby people could come and help them. So for all the one guy hopped up on PCP or meth or whatever that it won't affect, there's about 95 people that it will affect. And so,
I've done some various testing with pepper spray with the gas mask, and when you mess up and don't have a proper seal, it's definitely, you don't have a good day doing it. Another thing I think it's good for just security is self-defense training. We're with my daughter, we're having her do Brazilian jiu-jitsu lessons right now, and she's learning how to defend herself from an attacker or from a bully or from a larger male person and stuff. So it's really, I mean, she's working on her arm bars right now, and it's really that's awesome. She's at her lessons right now. I might have to join on that as well. So.
That's great. Yeah. We had a couple of, and I wanted to say also, before I get to some other good questions, that security for me isn't straight to a projectile weapon. That's not where it starts. It starts for me at knowing somebody's out there. So you have surveillance of your environment outside. I never would want to open the front door without being able to look and see that somebody wasn't out there. I don't want to be caught off guard. I don't want to have to react to something. I want to be proactive in everything. So be able to see outside. You can get really cheap Wyze cameras, WYZE, on Amazon. Just if you go through you have links for Amazon on your thing?
For which ones? For
just you have regular affiliate links?
I do for in the PDFs and stuff, and not typically in the description for special videos, but though. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah.
So you just go on Amazon, or if you see a Urban Prepper link, find one of those, and then go
look
to
one of your links. Yeah.
I don't really set them up either.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So, but Wyze cameras are like $25, $35. You need wireless internet for it, but they're great little cheap cameras. You can sit them outside of your door or out your window or whatever you want. Then you've got more expensive 1080p or 4K camera systems. You've got multiple, and I think Wyze even has now a whole house security system with the door triggers and noise alerts and all these different things. So there's definitely great options out there. I want to see them first and have to react second. I'd love to not have an altercation.
You could also repurpose your old cell phones to have a security cameras. That's something we did at my mom's house, where we didn't want to pay for an Arlo Pro 2 system.
Awesome.
And so we repurposed the old, a lot of the phones have 1080p. And so we would set those up, and there's some apps that you could use for that. And now they have a security system, just like you would for a normal, like an Arlo or something like that. So
Mr. Lineman says, be caliber specific. Don't diversify with ammo. And I believe he might be talking in communication with somebody else, or maybe just making a good general comment. I agree wholeheartedly. My long distance rifle, and I go from Dracos, the shorty AKs, up to full stock AK, to long distance rifles. They all take 7.62 by 39. I love that round. I think that it's a good working round. Now, I also have some tools that use 223 or 556, interchangeably, because that's more common in the general environment. But for me, I like the 7.62. And so my trio is a 38. So 38 revolver. Why a revolver? Because if I have to fix it after a long duration emergency, if I can't take it to a gunsmith, I might be able to fix a revolver. I probably won't be able to machine the parts to fix semi-automatic. Plus, anybody can pick it up and use it. A person with a disability can use it easier. A small, frail woman could use it easier. A small, frail man could. Grandma and grandpa could. Anybody like that. So 38 revolver, 7.62 by 39 is mine. Some might choose 223. And then a shotgun, because I think that has a great place in your preparedness. But again, hey, Prepper Nerd, make sure that you guys check out Prepper Nerd site, too. Great inventory for everybody.
Yeah, if you want to work on your inventory, definitely go to Prepper Nerd, and he has a great system for that. We did a live stream about a year ago. We're probably due for another one, Prepper Nerd, so we should probably get that scheduled.
Yeah, I agree. That's prepper-nerd.com.
Yeah. One comment I wanted to get to, because a lot of people talk about this when we were talking about the pepper spray. When they say the bear spray, I actually don't do the bear spray, because bear spray is more of a fog, and it's meant to deter the bear. It's not really designed for humans as much. But do you have thoughts on that, or?
Yeah, I like the gel spray. I
Yeah.
don't want to, a prosecutor's job is to make you go to jail and is to pin
Yes.
a crime on you. So if you have to use your tool in self-defense like pepper spray, I'd much rather it be a normal pepper spray that you can buy somewhere that they can't convince a jury of your peers who are not really your peers
Yep.
that you had some intention of being able to just, go through and overwhelm everybody with a self-defense tool.
Yeah. That's why a lot of people also say, "Oh, we'll just get some wasp spray." But if you're carrying, it's like you're asking for it almost. So
yeah, and wasp spray, I mean, it has amazing neurodegenerative effects. It shuts you down neurologically. The problem is the prosecutor's job is to turn that into a murder charge on you.
Yep.
So for me, I'd rather have other tools.
Yeah, one of the things, really quick on the spray stuff, for home defense, if you don't have access to a projectile tool, like you mentioned, I think a fire extinguisher would also really mess up someone getting sprayed with that stuff, because I've had to clean it up and it's also very heavy too if you needed to have.
Yeah, that's right.
It's everyone should have one, so it's not again, we're not giving legal advice, but that's just something that I do. So.
Somebody said I had to, Brad, did you say something about putting devices in the microwave? Yeah, we have repurposed microwaves. Anytime one breaks or we see someone, that is a Faraday cage. It's built for nothing more than to keep radio waves away from humans. So it works oppositely. It's going to protect your items inside from an EMP or from some sort of magnetic event. And Andres, or it might be Andre, says how to build a homestead now in a 1 acre property when everything is so expensive. When we first bought our first acre, we had to scrounge up money, and then even that was just for the down payment. And then we had to go to the individual and say, hey, we don't do conventional bank loans. Can we do a self mortgage? So then I had to pay an attorney to draw up a mortgage between me and the landowner. Then you go down to the courthouse. It's the same legal. It's just as legal as if you went through a bank, except you're not going through a bank. So that first one that we had to scrounge up the money, and this was just 5 years ago, the acre only cost $5,000, but that was our position. And so that same acre right now doesn't cost that much more in that area. So I think you really have to be area specific and not be afraid to lose your support structure, which was the word we were trying to think of the other day. You move away from family, you lose a support structure. You move to an environment with other people and other strangers, you have a lot of unknowns. But for us, it was worth it to build something for our family and to be able to create that, that homestead lineage that we could pass on. So, Andre, to answer your question, I think that you just have to do it as little, the best that you can.
Awesome. We're going rapid fire on this one. We've already gone like 45 minutes, and I feel like we're going through all sorts of questions. It's good that we have Kelley backstage to help feed us some of the comments, and then also Bernie's also in the backstage area too. Helping filter some of the chat room stuff. So again, most of the people I know that are here are probably already very, very well familiar with you. But if you're just tuning in now, maybe it's the year 2024 and you happen to stumble upon this video, make sure you go over to Full Spectrum Survival and subscribe to it. And if you like this channel too, you can consider subscribing to. Hopefully we're still here and they haven't banned all the prepper channels by 2024, but we'll see. So
yeah, that's right. Out of Shape Rick, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciated for the urban prepper. Just says, keep up the great work. So yeah, I appreciate that. Susan, what's your best advice for dealing with weevils?
Yeah, I saw that one doing. Yeah.
Yeah. For us, we eat them. So that's the first advice is in rice. I don't like weevils in my oats. Weevils in my rice are real easy. The eggs are in there, whether you know it or not. As soon as you bring that rice home, the eggs of the weevils are inside of it. You're eating the eggs. Now, when the weevils hatch, so you've had your rice inside of a 5-gallon bucket for 6 months, 8 months. For me, cycling your pantry is always a way to keep that from happening. That's the first step. If you put your food in a bucket and you eat through that bucket and then you buy another one and you just keep that rotational, you're not going to have a weevil problem. If they do exist, like say you got some old rice and it happens on month 2, you just skim the top. As soon as you put them in the water, the weevils float to the top of the water. You skim it off and that's it. No, problem solved. For things like flour, Weevils or oat Weevils, it's a little bit harder for me. But Kelley says, you can strain it, you can sift it. She does all those things for as long as I don't have to crunch on the bug. Even then, I don't mind too much. But I would rather my kids didn't have to crunch on the bug. So there's things that you can do. A lot of people say freeze it first. Cliff, you'll have to give us your opinion on that. I don't like to freeze my rice because I don't like to introduce moisture during the thawing out process.
Yep.
So for me, I'll throw it into a Mylar bag with oxygen absorbers, and I'll iron the top. And that oxygen depletion will stop the Weevils from hatching. They'll just die there. So that's one option. I just don't like freezing it. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't freeze rice. I freeze other things, but not rice. I feel that everything that I'm eating probably has some kind of critters or bugs in it or something like that. So it's a matter more about, I don't want it to ruin my stock or my supply of things that have a bunch of eggs hatch. So I too use the 5-gallon buckets with the oxygen absorbers, or I'll use the Gamma Seal lid for a 5-gallon. I have a couple different, I have more of the long-term one that I hope they never have to open. And then I have the ones that I'm planning on opening within, a few years. And for those, I'll use the Gamma Seal lids, but I don't have a specific approach beyond that.
John Britt says, when will you bring back your survival cards? We still produce them every month for our Patreon members. So if that's an interest of you, feel free to hop over there and check us out.
What all do you include on the survival cards?
All right, why don't you give me some, Kel? They're right up there in the closet. So every month we send out Kelley and I go out and we take the pictures. We create a survival theme, and we go out and we take the high resolution photography. Actually, behind me is some of our past survival cards. These we had printed into tiles just for our own decoration, because honestly, I'm proud of what we've done and the stuff that we have put into literature. I think it's up on the upper right-hand side. She said she's too short. So every month we go out and we take the pictures. We come back home, we edit them. I craft a survival tip on the back of each picture. We laminate it, waterproof the picture. And so for every one of our members there, we send out 5 survival cards and a monthly newsletter. So they'll get that every single month. We cover everything from, I'll just look at some of the pictures around me. Now we started covering recipes. 1 recipe a month out of Kelley's recipe book. I'm looking at chocolate chip cookie bake, the way to make a sniper's nest, looking at the use of nails in survival. Behind me, you got water distillation right over here. So here's just some of them. Kelley's recipes are at the top, just because my dad was over as we're meeting with them, and I'm like, hey, which one of these do you want us to bake from you? And on the back, it has the recipe card there. Let's see. So many recipes going through them. How to use pool shock to make water safe to drink. Baking soda and its different uses as far as its health goes. Queen Anne's lace, a wild edible. This is important. Actually, I put this on the back of I put it on the back of the toilet at home. I just put little 3M sticky stuff and put it on the back there. We're traveling, put one on the back here. And so it's my kids. They can go to the bathroom, they can go pee, and they can see how hydrated they are. If it's 1 to 2, you retain this level of hydration. 3 to 4, you're slightly dehydrated. When your pee gets this color right here, you're starting to actually toxify your kidneys. And so if you ever have pee that's that color, you are basically long-term harming your body. The solution, it's real easy. Just drink some more water. So on the back, proper hydration is mandatory for organ function and continued life. It's thought that up to 75% of the populace is dehydrated every day. In fact, when you first feel dehydration, when you first feel thirst, you're already 5% dehydrated. You die at 15%.
Those cards are really awesome. I love it. I like the color coded one that you have for that. It seems like you could have that for different things as well. If you're in hydroponics or something, as for nitrogen levels. But the one that you have for the pee is, it looks like the different type of bourbons that I drink too. So it's color.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. And if you drink too much bourbon, your pee is going to be really down there. And
So that happens. Yeah, I didn't notice it in the back. It just looks like you have stylish photos in the back there. So it's really you've made prepping kind of a feng shui in some ways. So,
yeah, that's right. So this card talks about choke points at stores and how storefronts can be used at choke points. This was really interesting. I know that you shared on a Urban Prepper that you had some heart issues.
Yep.
So this card, they actually did a study, and there's an at-home easy test to see if you're at risk of a major heart issue known as a hidden aortic aneurysm. This was developed by experts and published in the American Journal of Cardiology. Doctors found that by holding up one hand and while you are keeping your palm flat, if you flex your thumb out as far as you can across your palm and your thumb crosses over the far edge of your palm and sticks out, genetically, you have a higher chance of having an aortic aneurysm. So right there, and everybody should just do this at home. It doesn't mean you're going to have one. It just means you have a genetic chance to have one. So if you take your thumb like that and you try to stretch it out as far as you can over your hand, if it sticks out past your pad here, you have a higher chance of an aortic aneurysm.
Wow.
So it's just one, some of those small things that you could have members of your group or anybody do. Yeah. No genetic chance. It doesn't mean somebody can't have one, but it helps them out that way.
That's awesome. I didn't know that. Now I'm gonna be testing people to see, but it looks like I'm in the clear for that. But I still have other heart things that I rely on for, and that's due to the chemotherapy treatment that I had 20 years
ago.
Yeah. Kind of probably saved my life, but also kind of affects some of the long-term health. But
that's right. Yep. Yeah. Guys, don't forget, if you have questions, leave them in caps for us.
Yeah, those cards are really, really awesome. I think that's so. If you're not already a Patreon of Brandon Kelley, make sure you do that. Just for let alone for the cards alone, it'd just be awesome. I do PDFs, but you do cards, and so it's cool that people are giving out different various tips and things. I love the idea. I think it's really cool.
Yeah, for me, I wanted something that I could express my preparedness and creativity, and give somebody something that was waterproof. You throw these in your backpack, and you get it doused, you get it rained on, it goes into the river. You're still going to be able to take it out, and we'll do how to stitch a wound. We've done how to make Dakin solution. Have you ever heard of Dakin solution?
No.
Okay, so Dakin solution was pretty much the first saline solution. You should go research it right now. After the show.
I'm gonna get it. No, I'm gonna get it now.
Yeah, it's DAIKINS solution. Pull that up. I want to see what.
Yeah. Put that again, because you said it.
DAIKINS.
There we go.
All right, give me a read on that.
Let me get the right camera. Here we go. Let me press the right button. There we go. Looks like my hydrogen peroxide, but let's see. There's like a good Wikipedia, maybe. By the way, I use DuckDuckGo for my search engine, and I use Brave for my browser. So those are the ones I recommend.
I'm sorry, I spelled it wrong. DAKINS. I'm a little dyslexic, so in my head it gets a little.
DAK,
like DAK, DAKINS. Yep.
INS.
Yep.
Am I at the right side here?
Let me see. I'm trying to pull it up myself here. So I'm trying to get a little bit of history on it so that we can give people, from a good solution here. I've got this is from Nationwide Children's Hospital. Let me see. Can I send you a link? Or
yeah, no? send the link in the chat room, and I'll grab it really quick.
Okay. Yeah, let me do that. Copy link. This is really, I think that this is something everyone should know how to make. You just need bleach, baking soda, some clean water.
Cool. I got it. Here we go. Oops, it's having me download something.
Yeah, it's a PDF from the Children's Hospital.
Okay. We got a virus there for a second.
Yeah. No.
You wouldn't do that to me live on live.
Yes, I got him.
I tripped up finally. I have to switch the source really quick, but we could keep talking about it. I could put you back on full screen while I get it up, the PDF.
Okay, let me show you what I'll throw over there. That's just what I searched to get it.
Okay.
It came up as the like the fourth one down.
Cool.
So basically, Dakin solution, it's used to clean germs, clean out wounds. You can prepare this solution. They say only to do it if you're a practitioner of medicine. Of course, they say that because it's a children's hospital. Another name for a Dakin solution is diluted sodium hypochlorite solution 0.5%. basically around the world, they don't have the same solutions that we have in the hospital. So they have to make things for themselves. I mirror or model my preparedness planning on third world countries that get by fine without first world medical care. And so that's what I try to include, that kind of information, so that people can, really do those things themselves and, not worry too much about, those things that they don't have.
That's awesome. I'm gonna be researching it after the stream for sure. So looks like this Kyle Potts has some stuff there. So. Cool.
Yeah. So have to excuse me. That choke got me in my throat a little bit.
Someone said you need some lemon drops. I saw in the chat room. So.
I know. Growing Family says, "Are you religious? If so, to whom and why?" So I don't profess my religion, only because I feel that my actions should profess my religion, or my level of religiousness. I think that's important for me, to not even, I'm a good person by my actions, or I'm a bad person by my actions, or, I take advantage of people, or I get taken advantage of. So I really tend to keep it out of the public spectrum, and just say, if you like what I do and if you think I'm helping people, then, let's do this together.
Yeah, I agree with that style. I mean, we grew up in the Christian church, and my kids go to a Catholic parish. But for religion, I kind of keep religion and politics fairly close to the vest. And I don't like recruiting. I always felt growing up that it kind of felt like you're trying to sell people and recruit them. I prefer to live by example, and people will come to you if they have questions. So
yeah, I grew up Catholic. My parents were Catholic. I went to my Catholicism. I went to my what do they call it? Not the baptism. When we were like 8 years old, and they did our basically where they say that you understand you're Catholic.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like saw that there's a lot of divide. Not to mention all that happened in the Catholic Church, but there's so much divide in religion. I would hate to not be a friend or group member with somebody who was some Seventh-day Adventist.
Yeah.
Just because they had different ideals than me, or they followed a different day of rest, or they wouldn't eat pork. I would hate to have that division. I say, if we all have that same path at the edge, at the end, let's just get there together.
Yeah, I totally agree. So,
Sagarov says, if Russia invades the Ukraine, what can we expect here in the USA? Great question. The first thing you're going to expect is to pay about double on your electric vehicle batteries. You're going to pay double on your solar batteries. You're going to pay double on your rechargeable batteries. You're going to just start paying double. Ukraine has one of the largest lithium deposits in the world, or at least the most mined ones right now. The second is that the U.S., if you look at China, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, if you look at China, they have a communist nation. Their people will do what they are told to do. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of people will do what they're told to do. You have Russia, who rules by a different set of threats or rules. Their people under threat will do what they're told to do. Then we have the USA, where only 50% of the people, give or take on any one topic, will do what they're told to do. And it's actually lower to around 25 to 30%. There's no competition there. You put the two up against each other, you have a massive problem. So the United States is trying to hold on through economic viability. We try to hold on by keeping basically our business right next to these other countries. We need a stockhold at Taiwan. We need a stockhold in Ukraine. This is the whole reason that we have such a large push there. If we lose Ukraine from the United States standpoint, it just knocks us down another notch. We're already losing allies left and right. Turkey, gone. We're just losing them over and over again. And so if we lose another, we lose Ukraine, we lose Taiwan, it's not going to be long before we have no viability left. And all we're left with is 20% of a population of 300 million that will do what they're told, and the rest of the people are going to fall apart. I mean, we've seen division on something as small but as politically motivated as a guy wanting to kneel. We see all these things that are just madness that, we've seen through social engineering and the education system of our children, I, on one hand, see the Pledge of Allegiance as a remembrance of where I'm at and a consideration of my country. But then they took it out of school. And I understand why they did it. It's a part of that political motivation of their own. Do I believe in it? No, but they're doing a lot of things that I don't believe in across the world. So I think that here in this country, we're going to continue to erode in our geopolitical viability, our economic viability, and our social cohesion. And as that happens, it's going to get a lot worse.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't think about how things are made, and when you talk about the minerals, I always find that fascinating on how things are, where it all comes from, all the different countries, and then when you can kind of do one-to-one mapping of certain things that are happening politically that you see on the news and stuff, it's definitely makes you think. But
So Devin asks a good question. He says, "Do you think it's worth investing in mutual funds right now with the bear market?" I would have to say, do you already have an acre or more of land that's completely paid off, no mortgage on it? Do you have a home that's built on that acre or more that's completely paid off, no mortgage on it? Do you have a car that's completely paid off, no loan against it, no note against it? If you have the property, the house, the car, and now we're getting into big money. You're already doing the homesteading. You already have the animals, the livestock, the gardening. You already have all of these things set. If you just have money left over, again, I'm going to congratulate you. And then that might be where I would start looking into something like mutual funds. Until then, my money is going straight into the ROI that I can appreciate and see a change from within my, a short period of time. That's things like land, paying off debts that you have, that type of stuff. Did you have any ideas there?
I was my idea was trying to find the right button to click on right there. So no, I think you covered it good. And I agree with what you said there. I think most of the people that are very successful financially, they go with land over stuff like that. But it makes everything you said makes sense there. I was really curious because we're over at the hour mark now on how long do we have? Because I know you're on Florida time right now. I'm over on West Coast time. So it's
I'll go until my voice says no more.
All right, we're going to go until Brad gets a lemon drop, or if it just the voice shuts down and
that's right.
You talk like old Al Pacino, then we know.
Yeah, that's right.
Then we know that we're probably done. Maybe we'll have Kelley take over, and
that's right.
You'll feed her some answers, or she'll probably just take it over. So.
Oh yeah, she could take over all her own. You could have her on just to talk about female.
Yeah,
preparedness.
Maybe on the next live stream we should have Kelley on too. Maybe
or what would be awesome. Do you think that, if you could have us both on, I don't know, how would you convince your wife? Would she ever come on?
She would never come on. She
even anonymously?
No, she doesn't even want to have her voice on it. She's very private. She doesn't like.
I understand.
She doesn't. We're kind of opposites in a way. I don't mind talking in front of people and being on, but she doesn't want to be on camera or anything like that.
I respect that completely.
Yeah, just super private. Yeah.
Well, hey, you get her to get some questions together that you develop with her and throw them at Kelley.
Yeah. Okay, I can do that. We should definitely have another return where we have some additional guests. And I think Kelley should be the number one. And I could have a I don't know. So, we have Bernie backstage. Maybe Bernie will be my wife for the show.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. It's a new world.
Yeah. I'll bring Bernie really quick. You heard that one.
I'll be your wife.
Okay. Cool.
Hey Cliff, do you have an arrow garden?
No, I don't.
Okay. I did a video today talking about how, we're going to see a shift in food production here soon. Bill Gates, the single largest private landowner in the United States of America, owns hectares and hectares. You've got Walmart, different divisions of Google. You've got different parts of Amazon. They're all buying into indoor growing food production. This, if you look at things of the past, all the trends that we saw, the .com bubble, look at, the technological age, you saw big money moving into these areas, and you saw why, because, there was advancement. It was a time for everybody to get new stuff. That's shifting a little bit. We're seeing now these mega corporations, these conglomerates, in some cases, they are moving into food production, and we have to ask ourselves why. I'm seeing some data right now on fertilizer use, overuse, pesticide overuse, topsoil erosion. All these different things are pointing towards that we are going to see a food production problem, or at least hiccups in our ability to get the things that are really important. So my suggestion to everybody is, whether you get something like an AeroGarden, which I have no affiliation with, I just know they work. And if you like this white light in your bedroom, you don't want the purple light of some of the off-brand ones. They really hurt, at least our eyes. They bug us a lot, the purple light, grow light ones. Mm-hmm. These, the AeroGardens provide a full spectrum white light. They're a little bit pricey, but if you're interested in getting your own greens and you don't have a porch, or you don't have somewhere that you can put raised beds, then maybe think about doing it inside, because I can tell you that we're going to have a hard time getting good food for good prices over the course of the next year.
Yeah, we do. We have our raised beds, and we have different garden sections in the yard, and we also do largely container gardens. But I thought about that, and we've talked about it as far as having some stuff in the basement. What would you recommend if you already have a container garden? You have your raised bed. Would you still add this to your prepping supply? And if so, what would you want to have in there?
I would. And so I would grow nothing but easy greens all day long. Those things like the cut and come agains, the spinaches, the lettuce, and then you're providing your family with great nutrients every day. If nothing else, it gets harder on the things like the tomatoes, those things that are fruiting. But I see people doing it all the time. For me, it's a lettuce thing.
Yeah. And looks, everyone in the chat room seems to be echoing the same thing. I've always wanted to get into the hydroponics, but I just haven't done it yet. So
they're great in contained systems. So if you're able to, I think that you get a lot of use out of them.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do the tilapia. I think for the fish within there, and I'm half Puerto Rican, and that's used for a lot of cuisine. So I've been wanting to go that route, but not yet. So
that's right. I saw a couple of questions. Let me see. Booze Corner says, "Does Jace Medical sell empty medical bags and defibrillators?" I know that they'll hook you up with, because it's a real doctor using real telemedicine. If they see a need, they're going to give you a prescription for those other things, even your insulin or your thyroid medication, those long duration things. I don't know if they sell, I don't think they have any empty medical bags. The one that they give is honestly, it's like teal green, and it's not my favorite thing. I just moved my antibiotics out of there into another first aid kit of my own. But the defib is a great suggestion. I'll check with them and see if they do that and oxygen generators.
Awesome.
So guys, if you have any questions, make sure you keep them in the caps.
I think keep them in the caps, because it makes it super easy to differentiate when you guys are talking with each other and when there's a question there. And again, if you're just tuning in now, you're listening to Full Spectrum Survival go live on the live stream and answer real-time chats and all sorts of questions. And if you're watching this in the future in 2025 or so, we hope that our channels still exist, and that I hope that you're enjoying watching it. So make sure that you like it, so it helps get the reach out there to people. And if you want to leave, if we missed one of your chat room questions, or if Brad did, if you want Brad to answer one or whatever, just leave it as a comment in the comment section, and sure, we'll try to get to it later if possible. So, but keep them coming. I'm watching the chats come in and trying to pick them out. With I use StreamYard, and they go by fast when I'm looking at them. So I'm trying my best. So.
Yeah, that's right. Balloonies for You says the tower garden is like the AeroGarden, but you can grow full-size plants. I looked into a tower garden actually for here where we're at, and I'm considering it right now. They're a little bit pricey. My problem is I want to see in use. If you use it, please tell us in the comments. I want to see. A lot of these things are. I know marketing and I know photography, so I know that I could put any garden there, and I could throw a whole bunch of great freshly transplanted greens in there and say that it's great. But I want to see real testimony from people who are using it. So if you have, please let us know there.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of photos of these, but I haven't really looked into it that much beyond that. So it's fun doing these. It's fun doing these live streams where I could go and check to see, look at some photos and bring up the research and stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
Specific to prepping, I think it's awesome. So
I didn't stop it where it was, but somebody asked. Devin asked, how can you balance out work and free time for prep? Talking from a 9 to 5 standpoint. So, Cliff, if you'll answer that first, then I'll take second shot.
Yeah, I was trying to find the comment really quick. How do I balance it? For me, it's a lot of coffee at times to stay up. So because uh, for me, I have to prioritize the kind of the 9 to 5 because that's what that pays the bills for me, and it's my priority. And I treat YouTube as a hobby and a creative outlet for me. But to balance it, you kind of have to integrate prepping into your day-to-day life, so it's not like I have to carve out a specific time to do prepping things. If I'm out and about, I'm always thinking prepping. Whether if I'm at the grocery store, I'm thinking in terms of prepping. If I'm buying clothes on Christmas shopping, I'm thinking of things that have dual purpose: one for what I'm looking for, like if it's for the kids, and two, if it could be used for preparedness. And then then when it comes to the whole YouTube thing, that's the hard part, because for every video, it takes probably an hour per minute for me. Like if it's a 1 minute video, it took an hour just to make that one, with all the B-roll footage and all those
Sure.
kind of things. So I have to do it in stages, and I have to piece them together. So a lot of the times they're out of order, and then you have to kind of assemble all of it. But for me, it takes me a good 16 hours to do a single, like a normal video that has a PDF and has all the B-rolls. But I think as far as overall to balance it, you have to kind of stack rank where your priorities are, and then from there you have to find the pockets of time. And it's kind of like music, you have music notes, and then you have the space in between, and that all makes the music. You just can't have solid notes that wouldn't really make any sense.
Sure,
And same
yeah,
with
right.
prepping. So I had a music analogy though. That's pretty good.
I guess for me, I got the majority of my preparedness done. I guess my preparedness base, I guess I would call it. Whereas, I knew how much food I went through as a family, how much food I needed to keep in stock, how much food I needed to rotate with that, how many months I was going to try and prep for. I got all of that really figured out while I was still 9 to 5. And so, like you said, Cliff, it was really just goal motivated. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I needed to figure out those things. How many calories am I eating? How many meals are we going through? How many cans of this? Practicing, self-defense, getting out there and actually working my hands in the soil, how to test soil. It can be overwhelming, especially if you're first getting started. So for me, it was always a list. And we have one of those dry erase magnet boards on our fridge. And so we'll go up there and it's just filled to the brim with things that we want to get done. And so I would just go and pick one, and I'm going to work towards it in the free time that I have. Because I don't enjoy necessarily things like football or, I like doing physical activities. If you want to go play football, I'll go play football with you. You want to go play soccer? Absolutely. Let's go do it. I just don't enjoy watching other people do it. You want to go race vehicles? Let's go race. I just don't want to watch someone else. So that frees up a lot of my time that's socially managed through entertainment. And so,
yeah, I'd love to see a YouTube preppers flag football game. It'd be a blast.
Oh no, we've got to do full.
Yeah.
What do they call it in the UK where it's rugby? We got to do full rugby.
Yeah, my heart. I personally use a scrum board. I did a video of it a little bit ago where in software engineering, something called agile methodologies, where you do staging of things. And so I have my various preparedness projects as tasks, kind of like what you listed there, and I move them to different swim lanes or columns of what I'm actively working on, what are my goals for the month, and try to do that. And so I do that with both the videos and with just prepping stuff. So.
Yeah, good, nice and analytic.
Yeah, some nerd was coming out there a little bit with me. Sorry about that.
That's okay. That's good. Yeah. So that's how I balance it, and maybe it works for you. I find it fun. So luckily, and I saw another question of how do you get other family members involved in it.
Yeah, I saw that one too.
Most family members, they might not be. Thank you so much, Prepper Nerd, for being here with us and all that you've done for the community. Most family members are interested in something outdoorsy, fishing. Maybe they just like to eat the fish. Gardening. Most of your older family members will definitely be into seeing the fruits of labor with the garden. Camping, some will be into. Bike riding, others will be into. So you can get other family members involved by just going low key into it. It doesn't have to be. I never stress, especially to my children. Cliff, you brought up a great point on keeping your children motivated. during a disaster or even a long duration crisis like this whole COVID thing that's going on and all of its effects. And so, it's never a discussion of worst case scenario with them. They have their trust in me that I'm going to bear the responsibility. And so it's really life, back to normal for them individually. And you have to treat other family members the same way. Don't affront them with, all of these things that can happen, even though we know they happen. I mean, every day I'm reading really some of the worst stories, from home invasions to increases in parking lot crime, to all these things. We know they can happen. But if you take grandma and you tell her, grandma, you're going to get knocked over by a couple of guys who roll up to you in a Dodge, grandma's not going to really take it seriously as much as if you say, things are really getting dangerous. And, just make sure that you go with your neighbor or go with your friend if you're able to. And those things settle in a lot better. And there was actually some studies done that said when police and firefighters and paramedics would try to get community members involved in learning CPR and things like that, if they showed them the worst case scenario, like if you don't know CPR, your kid's going to die, nobody wanted to get involved. We put up, as humans, a negative block in front of that. We're like, no, I'll just call 911 or whatever, reason people have for not doing it. They showed that if they just get out there and start talking with people and really humanize personal responsibility, that people were more receptive to it. So that's how I would get those family members involved. And then if you have, those goals, just say, hey, let's go camping, let's go do this. And you're working on your goals at the same time.
Yeah, I love that answer. I totally agree with it, because you have to kind of disguise prepping into normal things. Because if you normalize it, it'll come naturally with them. Like with my son and I, we're doing a lot of biking, even though I'm trying to work on bug out vehicles that could rely without electricity. And then you could do the same. Like my son and I we do Boy Scouts, and there's a lot of lessons that we learn through there. And so like the jujitsu lessons that my daughter's taking and the different activities, camping's the best one, I think, because it matches really closely. I call it prepper adjacent. So if you're a camper, you're prepper adjacent. You have a lot of the same gear if you just are a fan of camping and backpacking, as if you were a prepper that's a fan of bug outs and stuff. So.
Exactly. If you could get your family to survive 2 weeks without medical access, without electricity, and this is extended family, if you could get your aunts and uncles or whoever, that's where the majority of the crisis really, that's who bears the weight of the majority of those crises, is those first couple of weeks. So if you can get everyone geared into just knowing that they can camp for 2 weeks, that means that they know how to make their own kind of, cook station. And somebody actually asked in here, Jay Bates says, what cooking method do you think is the best to have as a backup? For me, it's a rocket stove. I think that those are hands down the best conservation of energy and resupplyability. So if you get everybody interested in camping, you don't have to worry about them anymore, because if they can make it those 2 weeks, they're golden.
Yeah, I think power outages are probably one of the best gateway drugs into the world of preparedness, because especially minor ones, if it's out for a few hours, it really starts having normal people think about being a little bit more prepared for that. And then when something bad happens, like happened with Texas a little bit ago, where they lost it for a while, and other places around, hopefully you're a little bit more better prepared for it. So again, just every day kind of helping someone be prepared for a power outage, even if it's a minor one for a couple hours, will get them into the door towards thinking with a prepared mindset.
That's right. Yeah.
I think we probably have time for. I feel bad. I know your throat's hurting. We've been talking straight. It's first off, it's really fun talking straight up on all prepping type stuff. It's diving into all these little nuances. I hope people are liking this, and make sure you click on the like and follow Brad and Kelley on the various social channels that are linked in the description box. But
it seems so. If you you just tell me when you want to cut it off. People's are still.
If you see my kid walk in the door, that means it's time for dinner. So that might be when we stop, or if Kelley says it's time to stop, or if you go old school Al Pacino on us, then we know it's time to stop too. So those are our three things. So.
Okay. Self-Reliant B said, Brad, any more short films? Yeah, we're working on one right now, so I'm interested in bringing that to the community. What's the best non-lethal self-defense item? I think Lindsay means from each of us. Non-lethal self-defense for me is definitely, I think, why have just one? I use, and they're very inexpensive. You can get pepper spray, you can get a taser, and you can get a baton, all for a very meager price. And that's really a go-to for me. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan of pepper spray. I think we were talking about that earlier in the stream, and I have it on. Let's see if I have some bags over here. On all of the bags that I have in backpacks, I have it attached there. Non-lethal self-defense. I think just having self-defense schools and kind of some of the martial arts training would also help out with a lot of that. I mean, you put a stop to someone pretty quick with an arm bar or just a punch, and they're gonna hurt, but they're gonna survive it. So
yeah, that's right.
I don't. For me, it's not like a bat. I think that's kind of a lethal thing. So I think something that would ruin your day to get you out of that situation. So a temporarily stop an aggressor, whether it be like you said, a taser or spray or something like that, to just get out of that bad situation is what I would prefer.
Yeah, that's right. I saw another great question that I just wanted to let me see.
I'll try to find it.
Carol said, if you could only prep 3 items, what would they be? I like this kind of question, but I think also it's very exclusive to a particular thing or the other.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. So I'll bite, then I'll take the cheese. If I could only prep 3 items from where I'm at right now, I guess is the best way to question it. So 3 items that I need right now. Let's see. I would focus on indoor growing more at this location where I'm at, because it's away from my homestead. So food production. The next one, I already have water taken care of. I've got a Berkey. I traveled with a Berkey. So I said, okay, well, I can just, the Berkey has its own canister. It's 2 canisters, one on top of the other. I said, okay, I can just shove clothes in the canisters and it takes up almost no space. So I traveled with my water filtration. Let's see. Yeah, I guess I don't have any major areas that I would get to right now. Food production, I would focus pretty heartily on that.
Yeah,
what about you?
Again, it feels like a bait question, so I'm not sure if it's EDC or if like what would be the top 3 things. But I'm just going to go with I think the top 3 prep items. I'm going to have to always go food and water first. So if you're talking items, get a Berkey water filter. If you're talking food, get a pressure canner. And then for me, the third one would be some kind of power, alternative power. So getting a generator or something, or like one of the energy or the solar banks or something like that. So I'd go food, water, and then a way of preparing that and providing some power.
So I think I have a good solution here, a good thought exercise for everybody. What is a way that what are 3 free things that everybody can work on right now to better their chance of preparedness? For me, social engineering is huge. And so, everybody, I'm in this different environment. My outward appearance to everybody is always very opening and welcoming. Not too welcoming to the point where people are going to ask things of you, but open. If you talk with your neighbors and you're cordial with them, there's a lot less, hush talk going on around you or peering in. You take away the allure of privacy. So outside of where I'm at is completely gray manned out. It's just a very normal environment. No specific things. It's very 1950s husband and wife with children. Our bicycles are out there. We keep everything pretty well, pretty maintained. Just very normal. So I guess social engineering would be one thing for me. And if you just want to pick up on any of these, also Cliff, that'd be fine. Yep. Exercise, we're always trying to. I believe that's
what I was going to say.
Yeah, exercise is great. Kelley had to pick up stuff for lasagna yesterday, and then we made another order today. I only do curbside pickup because why go in with people? I mean, I'm not a big fan of people.
Not a fan of people. That's why.
Yeah. So
that's why you're online. So yeah.
That's right. I love talking to you guys, but put me in a room of 100 people who aren't interested in what I'm interested in, and I'm just like, no, I'm going to go back home. So we do curbside pickup. Yeah, I don't do people very well. And I said yesterday, hey, let's ride the bike up. It's just a couple of miles, and let's do our curbside pickup yesterday. Great use of exercise. Today, again, I said, let's go to the further Publix and let's ride there to pick up, just a backpack full of stuff. My kid has really been enjoying, my oldest boy, the specific flavor of cracker. And I can never make these flavors in my house, but he really likes them. So we went and picked those up along with some other stuff for dinner. And it's nice. It's that exercise that really gets you. And then Charlie has the next one, and that's first aid. You can build those skills for free every day.
Yeah, totally. Let me see. Press the right button here. Yeah, I was going to say for 3 things that you don't have to pay money for. I think, as you mentioned, physical fitness, cardio, I think would be good. I've been trying to do the rowing machine more, and I've been trying to ride a bike more because I sit at a desk all day in an office setting. So that's the one for me. I think some kind of self-defense training would be another thing that you could do to help be a little bit more prepared. And then I think medical is learning first aid skills and medical stuff. There's a lot with, when we were, I don't know about you, but when I was growing up, we didn't have Google or DuckDuckGo or whatever you use. There's so many different things that you could research online in these YouTube videos. I mean, you could really, you have such quick access to a wealth of knowledge that doesn't really cost anything except for your internet connection. So those would be the 3 things I picked though for that. Yeah,
let us know in the comments if you have something that you are doing for free. It could be something real simple, like when we are riding our bikes by, we're like, oh, there's a water source. Oh, there's another water source, and just thinking about those things, because I could take that water and take it right home into the Berkey and put it in there without water here. So it's just those types of things, remaining aware, thinking about everything and trying to be as prepared as you can be. It for me, preparedness has never in my life been a detractor from my happiness. It has never been I guess the best word for it would be a negative thing. It's always been something that I am happy I have done, because I don't have to worry about it after that. I can put it's like being able to close a chapter of the book. It's just, okay, food production. Okay, I can move on. Pantry, I can move on. Self-defense, I can move on. And there's those things that you always have to remain on top of, like, shooting is a depreciating skill. Self-defense is a depreciating skill. Just because you were, a Taekwondo hero, you might have been Jackie Chan in 1997. Today, you're not. And so, you have to be aware of those things and just try to stay up on it.
Yeah. For me, it's for prepping, it's an ongoing thing. I'm always thinking about I always feel like I'm not prepared. I always feel like I'm still starting off from scratch. But for me, it's just a little bit more peace of mind than I had the previous day. So I have better peace of mind that the stuff that I carry in my pockets is better than what it was. And because as a prepper, I think you're kind of naturally worried about stuff. You're concerned about things that other people. And you're I feel like almost like when I'm walking around, because you don't like seeing people in real life. I'm with people in real life often, and I feel like it's like zombies. Like they're not thinking prepping like I'm thinking. I'm going into an event or something, and I'm thinking with a prepared mind on this, and everyone else is doing their thing, and they're not thinking that. So I feel like I'm in a constant state of anxiety for some of those things, and sometimes when I go down the rabbit hole for certain topics, it makes it where I can't stop thinking about it and I can't go to sleep on it, especially some of the scarier topics when we're talking EMPs or civil unrest and stuff. But again, for me, it's chipping away at peace of mind, day by day, and it's never ending. And it's like waves of the ocean. It's just going to keep coming, and I just got to keep battling it. But again, it becomes enjoyable too. You start craving becoming more prepared, and if you can encourage others to do it too, then it's like you're replicating yourself. You're replicating good thinking, and if emergency does happen, that those people will be better prepared because of you are better prepared, and I get a lot of reward, personal joy out of that.
So do you think that from a personal perspective, do you once you open that chapter, even if it's a deep chapter like EMP, when you've done all you feel you can do without making things just miserable, do you then get the anxiety relief?
Yeah, you can only. I try to, and I tell this to my kids. I mean, I can't worry so much on things I can't control. I can't control like if EMP happens. I can't control if an asteroid hits so I try to focus on the things that I can control, and I try to stack rank it based off of probability. After a certain point, like if you sleep on it for 24 hours, and if you're not even thinking about it, then I know I got it in a decent state. If I'm thinking about it daily, that means that my subconsciously I just feel that there's more that needs to be done, and I find that I'm able to at a certain point have it where I'm not thinking about it repeatedly over multiple days.
Yeah, I agree. I think that, you have to, like you said, take into thought other people too. Do you have aging family members or kids, or, I'm okay to wear the burden of that responsibility for those other people. You just have to think about them, because, we've had some people in the comments say, I just can't get this person on board, or I just can't get that. And I think that you have to either shut it down and say, okay, well, I'm not going to prep for them, or you do enough, you build a barter box for that person, or a giveaway box, and okay, well, I've done all that I can. That person's going to get this. Hopefully it will help them, have some better choices.
People will come around, and I've had a lot of folks that tease me for a lot of the prepping things that I do, or having an Altoids kit, or having an EDC and stuff. But then, like, especially with COVID and stuff, and when they saw, oh yeah, Cliff had masks ready to go, or Cliff had,
right.
They'll come around eventually. But you have to kind of play the long game with some people. So something has to impact them for them to really take it to heart. Kind of like, when you're reading the news and bad things happen to people die and stuff, you're just kind of looking at it as a spectator. But when something happens to you, then you'll start to take some of these things seriously. And I think the same thing happens with emergency events and preparedness.
Yeah, right. I think that as we continue on over the course of these next couple of months and years, and as we see change, you're going to see a lot more people get into less of what we have called preppers and preparedness, and more into just self-responsibility. And they're going to want to have that extra food. Nobody called it a prepper in 1920 when somebody had a stocked pantry. That was just what they did.
What you did, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're going to get kind of back into that, for a lot of people. Unfortunately, they're on the other side of the curve. You look at Venezuela and Cuba, some other countries in South America. You look at some African countries. It's not very many people that have the goods to just have a lot of preparedness. And so you've got the community coming together to fill those empty spots. Somebody might have a connection to get rice, so they're stockpiling the rice. Another person has canned goods that they get from someone, or they barter with somebody. They've got the canned goods figured out. Somebody else knows a doctor. They've got some medicine. And so I think that if we stay open to that type of community preparedness and don't, shun people, of course, it has its own caveats and its own dangers, because if you, as soon as you introduce yourself to somebody else's, potentially negative problems, they could affect you. But, I think that's kind of an interim problem, because as soon as everybody needs everybody, then the people who are acting negatively get ostracized very quickly. Everybody knows not to deal with them. They just become the crackhead. No, you don't go talk to the crackhead. And so you don't go talk to the guy who is, who has burned too many bridges, or who has said he'll do things and won't follow through. So for me, I want to build bigger community and, and try to help people as much as I can.
Well, it's obviously, I mean, probably like in closing, because I know it's starting to get late over there, and I hear some rumbling outside the door here. But I think you're definitely the videos that you're
listening.
Yeah, they're like, what's he talking? He talked about me on that. I think what you're doing is obviously resonating with people. I know that I tune into you because I don't trust the stuff on TV. I trust you. I trust the faces that that they're not backed by some 3-letter or company that's $1 billion company or something like that. That's, reading stuff off a teleprompter. I mean, you have integrity and speaking from the heart. And I think that's one of the reasons it's that Think Preparedness has been such a fun outlet for the four of us to talk about all sorts of things, current events and preparedness type topics. I like diving into these prepping things in detail on the little nuances of stuff personally, but it's nice having these like-minded people to help keep us sane, because when I'm walking around with the zombies, it gets a little lonely. It feels kind of like you're on an island because people aren't thinking along the lines of you. So you're definitely resonating with people. I don't know why things are getting they're getting worse and worse up here where I work. And I went to the office yesterday in downtown Seattle, and saw some guys taking dropping deuces in the street on my way to work. I was like, oh man, it's getting bad out there. So
getting kind of third worldy going on.
Yeah.
If I in closing out, first I just want to thank everyone for being here, but I want to say that if you have the opportunity to get the proactive things done that you can with your health. Just today, I went and I had a mole right here that I shaved one day, and it got infected and it started growing vertically. And if anybody knows anything about moles growing, you don't want. And I actually did a survival card on this too. You've got to look for changes in their shape, changes in their color, changes in their whether they're growing vertically or not, scabbing, things like that. And so I'd been watching it and did some online dermatology stuff. And they were like, no, don't worry about it. It kept getting bigger. And I was like, okay, I got to go get it, checked out within a good time period. So I've also had some teeth work done that was kind of proactive. We're trying to stay on top of our health proactively. It's these things right now that I think we can do that will help us, not be behind the curve. So if you have dental work to get done, maybe consider doing it. If you have some things to get checked out, or you need to get psoriasis cream or whatever it might be, consider doing those things sooner than later.
Yeah, those people were asking for the link. There's the link over there. Hopefully, it's also in the description box. Make sure that hopefully you're already subscribed to Brad and over at Full Spectrum Survival. I think the next Preparedness talk. I think we're working on the scheduling on it. I think you and I think we want to do. I want to do it weekly.
I could do a weekly. Yeah,
I'm down for that, but other guys have to talk to their agents and stuff and see if it's be okay and go through legal and all the things.
That's right.
I heard that you have a wardrobe and makeup. I know that you go through this.
Yeah, something about this Logitech cam gives me some sort of like softening. So
yeah, do you have how often do you go to the dermatologist? Because I go twice a year because I also get moles and stuff removed because I'm fairly moldy.
First time I've ever been. Yeah.
Okay.
First time I've ever been. And they did the cryo to take it off, liquid nitrogen.
Yep.
But, before this is how much of an overthinker and into preparedness I am. So 12.6, I can show you the pictures because I'm very analytic. So I got the picture. I've got the microscope and I've got the high res cameras and stuff. I'm taking pictures all the way along. So I've got the chronological order of its change. I know I'm not getting enough information. And so I'm looking into a dermoscope. A dermoscope is what a dermatologist uses. Yep. It can see in two different spectrums. It can see in normal light, and then it can see in UV light. And you're looking for all these things. So I'm doing literally hours and hours of research to try to bring myself up to date on danger signs. Striations, you're looking for different striations of coloring. You're looking for different small pigmentation changes. You're looking for different things in the mass. I order a dermoscope because they're not that expensive. You'd think a dermatologist would need a $20,000 thing. They're using a $150 little dermoscope. I order one of those. Bring Kelley up to speed. She's looking at it. Now I have real good data to send off to an online dermatologist, and they're like, how did you get these pictures? Because, they're like, everybody sends us in a 2010 phone picture. So how did you get these? And I tell them what I have, and they're like, okay, well, they think it's okay, but keep an eye on it. And so, I wanted to say that if you have the ability, now I have a dermoscope forever that awesome. I can watch other people's moles with. My kids have freckles and they have a couple of moles. Kelley has a couple. You just want to keep an eye on those things. Basal cell is no big deal, but you get something like melanoma, especially nodular melanoma, which is what I was a little bit concerned with because it's growing vertically. Nodular melanoma, you literally have weeks before it gets into your lymph nodes. So it's a huge deal. Imagine not being able to get into medical care because we have now ostracized an entire group of physicians and you just can't get in. I mean, the first dermatology appointment I could get into in Alabama was in March, and I tried to make it in December. If you've really got something going on that's weeks in the changing, that 3 months, it could be the difference between a huge, a bad outcome and not having a bad outcome. So
looks like I have some shopping to do because I got to get one of those. I see a dermatologist every 6 months, and
okay, yeah,
she's actually I think she's a closet prepper because the way you could always kind of spot a prepper like with some of the gear that they have on them. Mm-hmm. But I'm dreading the next appointment that I have because it's in some below the belt areas that I want to have taken care of. So and
flavorful.
Yeah. So, but I guess that goes. I'm sure they've seen it also.
Sure. Yeah.
That she is. So
yeah.
Maybe on that note, maybe I should. My mom knows your videos. There we go.
Yeah. Look into look into a dermoscope. I suggest everyone gets it. If you've gotten everything else, of course I wouldn't get that before I get some other things. But if you've gotten everything else, if you've already purchased those, look into a dermoscope as part of your preparedness. You need a stethoscope. You need a blood pressure monitor and cuffs, all those things. So it's great. But, thank you guys for being here with us. And, if you have any questions for Cliff or me, please just send us emails or leave comments. And we're always interested in joining the community here. Yeah, there's dermoscopes there.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, it's going to go on my shopping list next. So I'm not sure how much they cost, but I think I'm going to have to get it because I have other type of equipment like that. Yes, thank you so much, and I'm glad everyone that came over here, especially the folks from Full Spectrum Survival. If you, it's been nice having all these questions come in and take.
I agree. Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm starting to lose my voice a little bit.
Yeah, that's right.
I went Al Pacino there for a second, but yeah. And special thanks to Bernie. He's been backstage helping with things. Also had Bernie really quick. Hey, Bernie, thanks for the help. So,
yeah, anytime. Glad I could help.
Cool. So cool. If you guys like these type of videos, consider subscribing to the channel. Make sure you press the like button. And if there was a question that we didn't get to, leave a comment in the comment section. We'll try to get to some of those. And I think I'd love to talk more. I know we're trying to get Kelley on camera, so we'll have legal. I'll have my people talk to your people. And we'll see.
Okay. Yeah.
Going. And then I think the next time we'll be talking is probably in a week or so with I think Preparedness. So
I hope
make sure you subscribe to that channel. So we're again, you and I we're ready to go. I'd love to go bi-weekly over there. Or weekly or bi-weekly. I'm down for whatever. So
people are asking, who's Bernie? Is he a prepper or is he just a guy?
Bernie's a prepper. Bernie, he lives down in the Portland area, and he helps out a lot with a lot of behind the scenes things that we do over here for the live streams, especially for we've been good friends after a giveaway contest, and I got to meet Bernie down in Portland, and now I sent Bernie Christmas cards. So he just a lot of the stuff that happens on this channel, Bernie helps behind the scenes to make a lot of these things happen. So it's nice to always have him over there. So.
Oh, it's fun.
Cool. Well, I think on that note, I'm losing my voice now. Brad's almost lost it. Bernie's okay. So cool.
All right, I'll take it over from here.
Okay.
All right, so
well, cool. Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. I'm gonna go have some dinner with the family and hope everyone stays safe out there. And I'll see you next time.
Appreciate it.
Take care. And Brooke.